Hello, and welcome to RyzeUp, where we learn about different fields for teens through experts in those fields. Today, we have a very special guest. Like, whoa, I feel like I'm being tested almost. Because our guest today, our expert today, is an award-winning reporter and producer at WGRZ TV in Buffalo, New York. And so wow, and you're not even just limited to TV. You even have your own podcast called Project Grown Up, which she runs with her co-hosts, which I was grateful to be a part of. So, without further ado, Miss Danielle Church, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's kind of weird getting interviewed for a change. So used to be on the other side of it. But yeah.
Awesome. So let's get right into it. So of course, our first question has to be, as a reporter slash producer, what exactly do you do?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. So essentially, the dumbed down version is, I guess I'll kind of just walk you through the day. Get up. I usually try to work out or something because my job is very stressful, but
Right.
it's also very what do you call it? Fulfilling. So I usually do that, and then sometimes in the morning, but mostly I just got done with work. So usually after work is when I'm trying to think of stuff that I could work on later in the week,
Mhm.
or the next day, because you're always supposed to come with ideas. I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing. I actually
Right.
did not have any this morning because I have Sundays and Mondays off. So, I
Right.
it's a Monday. I'll just put it that way. But anyways, so after I try to think of some ideas. So we have a 9:30 pitch meeting. So that's when you pitch your ideas and everybody joins in. So if you don't have an idea one day, it's not the end of the world. But because you work as a team. And then
Right.
after that, you get your story for the day. And then after that, it's kind of like you're pretty much just on your own, trying to figure it out. And not in the sense like if you have any questions or something that nobody's going to
Mhm.
help you because you're working as a team at the end of the day, but it's kind of like they're trusting you to just go do it.
Right.
Like nobody's ever going to say, "Hey, did you take your lunch break today?" That sort of a thing. It's kind of like it's very much an independent type job. So if you're not self-sufficient, then it's not going to be a good job for you, or it'll teach you those skills, one or the other. But essentially you're going to be making phone calls, trying to see, who you can talk to that day. And you'd be surprised, like pretty much every day somebody's going to get back to you. They're going to tell you yes or no, but you want to have an idea of what you're going to work with. So after our pitch meeting and you get your story, then it's like, okay, then I need to check, since I'm at home, the um, planner for the day to see what shows they have me in. So based on what show I'm in is how I'm going to plan my day,
Mhm.
in a sense of not like minute by minute, but I need to figure out, okay, this is the latest I can do an interview with somebody,
Right.
because then I need time to write. I edit my own stuff. I shoot my own stuff.
Wow.
Today was nice because I did have somebody help me shoot my stuff when I was on camera and some of the B-roll, but that's not a daily thing. That was actually really nice today. So I'm essentially a one woman band. So I'm, like I said, pitch, interview, write, write and shooter at the same time, I would say, and then edit it all together and export it. So
Whoa.
you do that all in a day. And it seems like a lot, but it's very doable. And honestly, your first job, you're going to be a little slow, but by the
Mhm.
time you get to your second job, hey, maybe even in your first job, you'll get it like that. Because in college, I was so used to doing it for like, I had the course of a week to 2 weeks to do it, and now it's like, oh, I have not even 8 hours. So it
Wow.
sounds like a lot, which it is, but at the same time, it is definitely manageable. So that's in a nutshell. And then after you get done doing your stuff for on air, You have to put your stuff on the website. And then this is all in addition to tweeting, um, posting stuff on Facebook. I mostly use Facebook as a tool for my family to see it because they're not in Buffalo and they can't get our station. However, it is definitely a thing you should have if you are a reporter. It's a way to connect with your audience, get story ideas, that sort of a thing. Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's kind of a lot, but at the same time, like I said, it's very manageable.
Wow. Wow. So it's definitely not an easy job the way
No.
it looks like a glamorous job when you look at it from here, but now talking to you, I see it's a crazy job, you know. But does it have any upsides? I mean, I see that you've been in journalism for, you know, in quite a versatile manner, being in having reported in Chicago, having reported in North Dakota, and now in Buffalo, New York.
Mhm.
Um, so do you like the travel? Do you have to move around, or do you have to go chase stories? How does that
Um,
work?
yeah, so well, I didn't chase a story by moving to each place, but yes, once you're there, you do chase stories in a sense. Um, so I'm actually originally from Chicago, and then I just wasn't ready to leave the area yet. I am from a suburb, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to school downtown. It felt like the perfect fit. I always wanted to live there. And then it also just happens to be that like those big cities, and this is not to say that no matter where you are, you won't gain so many skills just trying to be a reporter, especially in school, but it was the perfect atmosphere for me because
Mhm.
um, there was just always so much going on. And it felt not like I was just on a college campus because I could, go 20 minutes to the city. I mean, my
Right,
campus was like just right outside of it, but it's still in it. It's just not, in the loop. I don't know if you've ever been to
right,
Chicago before,
right,
but so it's just a really cool experience. And like one of our assignments every week is me and somebody in my class would have to go out and, do stories together. So that was nice because we always had somebody to help shoot with and like get different
hmm,
ideas. But they prepare you super well for what you're going to go into the real world. So that was nice. Um, yeah, you do have to travel. Not in the sense of like, okay, I'm here now, I'm going to go travel to all these places. Every once in a while you do. Um, I did in my first job. I haven't here, especially with coronavirus, but
right,
it's more so that you have to be comfortable constantly moving. It's literally because you just never know what's going to happen, like what opportunities can pop up. And I'm going to be totally honest, that first job out of school is not usually a job you want to stay in the sense that
of course.
the pay is not that great. It's more to just get your feet wet and, just get as much as you can, make really good relationships. I have some of the best friends and I made some really great connections in my first job. But also, it's really cool because you get to learn about so many different places and see how different people live. Obviously, Chicago is nothing like North Dakota, where it's so rural
Right.
and it's negative 40 degrees all the time. Like it's just so different. But it's also really cool because I see a lot of similarities um, in towns as well. There's nice people just about everywhere, and I would say Buffalo is a lot closer to Chicago in the sense that it's this very blue collar town
Hmm.
right next to a lake. It has a lot of
Right.
similarities. So it's not easy to move, especially, when you're so comfortable in your hometown, for example, or if you're just a city person like me, but it's definitely something you have to do in order to see what's out there and see what you're capable of. Because the reality is sometimes the opportunities just aren't where you're at. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, I mean, it seems as if there's so much to do. You know, there's writing part of it. You're traveling. You know, it seems like it's a really busy lifestyle. And honestly, of course, I am grateful for this interview because I haven't seen that many people talking about, what reporting is and how they got into it, right?
Mhm.
So, what really attracted you to journalism in the first place? Like, the reason is that I see these, kind of hobbies or likings that one has, and how can students be attracted to journalism through those likings or hobbies?
Well, I may not be the best to answer this question because in high school I was super, super shy.
Oh,
I was a freshman in high school, and I had a best friend who was a total opposite of me, so she was really good at helping me kind of grow. But what ultimately I think helped me completely come out of my shell was journalism. And
that's
I always liked writing. I was always in classes where, even in elementary school and middle school, I had teachers ask me to like keep my stuff. And I'm like, I never really thought anything of it, but I was like, I guess I'm good at this. I might as well like pursue something. But I didn't want to be an author. That just wasn't what I wanted to do. I really didn't know. And so I was a freshman in high school, and I loved my English teacher in the class, but he actually had talked to my parents at a parent teacher conference and was like, Danielle's a really good writer. I think she should join the newspaper. And when my mom came home and told me that, I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, I've never had a teacher say, like, oh, she should do this because she's so skilled at it. So I was like, well, that meant a lot to me. And I actually still keep in touch with this teacher I had. He is also the journalism advisor for the newspaper at my old high school. So, every once in a while, I actually do stuff like this. But um, it was really kind of fulfilling to hear that. So I was like, well, maybe I should think about it. But when my mom told me that, I was instantly like, but like, why would I want to join the newspaper? I mean, I'd have to talk to people and like interview them, and like it just didn't sound attractive to me. I was like, it doesn't
right.
sound like something I wanted to do. Well, then by the time I think I was at the end of my sophomore year, I was like, okay, next year I'm gonna have to take the ACT, and it's kind of a lot of pressure. You feel like you have
That's
to know what you want to do in high school. That's not the case. I know people who are 25 and still don't know what they want to do. You have time to figure it out, trust me. Yes, you have to pay for a degree, but like it don't ever settle for something. Anyways, so I was like, okay, maybe I should join the paper. Like, I'll give it a try. Well, in order to do the paper, you had to first take a class to learn how to write
hmm
for a newspaper, because writing an essay and writing other stuff is, very different from writing an article or a story. So you have
Exactly.
to learn the fundamentals of it. And I still to this day, believe it or not, think back to some of the stuff he said. So
Wow.
that just goes to show, like, if you have a good education, it can really take you a long way, and you're always going to have
That's
your teachers in the back of your head when it's something that you actually stick with. So yeah, I decided to do it, and I even had to take summer school because I had to get rid of a credit in order to graduate, so I could then take the newspaper
true.
writing class while I was in high school, like during the normal year. I didn't like summer school, but I did it to get out of the way. And it totally paid off because the first assignment we had was to interview somebody in the class, and I was freaking out on the inside. And then I went to interview them and then write the story, and immediately was like, I don't know how to describe it other than just like a rush of like adrenaline, I guess, like,
Wow.
and the feedback I got was so good from him too. Like and I just couldn't believe it because it was the first time I felt like I was naturally good at something. I was never in sports or any of that. So it felt good to be good at something
hmm
naturally. So then I don't know, I just was hooked. I wanted to do more. And there were so many times, even when I was in college, that I was like, I just want to be out in the real world.
I
Would I
feel
say
you
that
there.
now? Not all the time, because being an adult in just so many ways is very, very tough. It's not easy, but I do love my job. Though I'm not gonna lie, it can get really hard some days because like I said, it is very tough. It's a competitive industry,
That's
and
true.
it's very busy. You don't have time to be lazy in this industry, if that makes sense. So, but honestly, I think my industry doesn't get fully understood by a lot of people, which is okay because I don't think, any industry completely does. But there are so many passionate people. I think journalists, and this is not just because I am one, are some of the hardest working people I've ever met.
No,
So
I get that.
there's been
Especially
so
from
many
what you just said right now, I
yeah,
completely
there's been
get
so
that.
many times I've been in a newsroom like as an intern or, at just coworkers, and I'm like, or even, me sometimes, I'm like, I really can't believe how much I was able to pull off today. Like just some amazing stuff. So
That's awesome. So, that just goes to show you that how much a good teacher can mean to you, right? Having that amazing teacher in any subject, whether that's math, whether that's English, can make you going from hating a subject to loving a subject, or from loving to hating a subject, right? Um,
mhm,
and of course, I've seen some of those as well, and those changes have happened. Shout out to my Miss Miller; she was an amazing broadcast teacher as well. Um,
mhm.
but let's say that I do know what I want, right? I want journalism, but um, of course they don't go and handing out internships to everybody, right? So what are some ways that students can get an edge on journalism, or do something that puts them in a good place? Referring to journalism as, of course.
Um, I think part of it is you just have to really, really be interested in it because I, f- I feel, and honestly, even this is pretty much any industry, you just have to be yourself to see if you can get it because you got to make sure it's the right fit for you. But also, you just got to work really hard and you got to want it bad enough because if you want it bad enough, you're going to work hard, like to the point where you're not going to give up. Because I remember I wanted an internship so bad when I was in college. And like the reality of it is, you're going to get one. If you're trying, you're going to get one. It may not always be your first choice, but
Hmm.
sometimes, things happen the way they're supposed to. So, but like use your connections too, because I actually did end up getting an internship at WGN, which is one of the stations downtown in Chicago, because so many of my classmates, my professor had connections there and they
Nice.
knew they liked me. So, of course, and they know me well. So, when I say, hey, can I put your name down? It's, yeah, sure, no problem because
That's
you have
awesome.
a good relationship with those people. So definitely, I mean, as you get into like college and you're in your major or whatnot, or you're still trying to figure it out, use the connections you have around you
Hmm.
because though they're going to try to take you to like conferences and whatnot, it's usually the people you know and are friends with who will actually be able to help you more than you thought they did. So other than just their friendship. So as for high school though, I mean, get started now. I mean, the best thing to do is start getting clips, whether it's newspaper, radio, broadcasting. Your high school has to have something, and I
Hmm.
don't know what it is, but like mine only had a newspaper at the time. Now they also are trying to do broadcasting, and I don't know if they do radio or not, but they try to do like play by play during the games and stuff. It's just
That's
experience to
awesome.
have. And once you go to college, I mean, I just felt like I was over prepared every time I went to the next place. And that's the feeling you want to feel. And though at times you might have imposter syndrome because you definitely do, especially working with like people who've been in this for years and they're just so good at their job. Um you just I'm losing my train of thought. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're
Um
good. You
just
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 trust
go
the
with it. You'll
process.
figure it out. Yeah, trust the process. So,
That's
um
epic.
yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So of course, going through and taking part in news clips, whether that's from your school, whether that's you're doing by yourself, and the importance of networking, right? Um, is something that you'd say would be a really good thing, especially in journalism, right?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't tried to network. I've just kind of let it happen naturally. I know that like my cousin Alex has gotten all of her jobs through networking. I
Wow.
have not. Most because the I'm not going to say that you can't get a job networking because you totally can. In fact, I think you can get very good opportunities from it in my industry. I just have not had that happen yet. For
Mhm.
me, each time so far, because I've only done it twice, it's just been, you know, putting together a demo reel, sending it out with my resume, and hoping that somebody watches it and I get hired. So,
Nice.
but like when I say somebody, it's like you try to contact every news station you can at first, and then once you're in your first market and you're like, okay, I want to go to the next place, you can be a little bit pickier, but still,
Hmm.
um, you gotta, if you want to grow and you want to be in the industry, like I said, you kind of got to be willing to go different places. I was very lucky in the sense that I actually have family very close by, and I really love Buffalo a lot. So and honestly, I never been here prior. So,
Oh,
which is weird because my entire family only lives an hour and a half away. So,
that's so cool.
yeah,
That's
very random. But yeah, it's really nice. So
well, that's great to hear. Um, so what would you give as you've been in the industry, you've experienced your own ups and downs. So what would you give as a word of caution to all the incoming freshies, as I might put it? But yeah, um,
this is a job that will definitely challenge you in a lot of ways, but don't let it I guess get you down too much, because there's a lot of times where I definitely look at it and I'm like, "Ugh, can I handle this?" But I know that I can because I've had professors tell me I'm very good at what I do, in the past. Or, I've worked with people who have said to me just things like, "Oh, like you did such a great job on that story." It's like, it's very reassuring in those moments. But like at the same time, part of that just comes from confidence, and you'll build that as the longer you do the job. And that's definitely like imposter syndrome is definitely something I struggle with,
mhm,
because it's, you're constantly in jobs or want to be in a job where if it doesn't challenge you, you should probably move on to a different job because you want to keep growing, you want to keep getting better. But at the same time, it's that's kind of a tough thing mentally to go through because you kind of at times never feel like you can, you know,
grow
just
anymore.
rest, I
Yeah.
guess, if that makes sense. But, the reality of it is, it's just part of how the job is, and if you can accept that, then you'll be okay. I mean, I think that's something I've struggled with a little bit, but
Mhm.
I love this job, and I realize I never really answered this question you asked earlier, why is it fulfilling? But I'll try to answer this short because I'm very long-winded, I know.
Yeah.
So one of the best things, aside from getting to see new places and getting to meet all kinds of people, is that every single day you're learning something new. I swear. Like, there is no reason to go to grad school if you're a journalist unless you want to teach journalism, because every single day is like going to class in a sense, because you have to be an expert on that topic. And, sometimes you have to be vulnerable and you have to say, listen to somebody, I don't understand this. Can you just help explain this a little bit more? And, we have to be experts, but at the same time, I would rather admit to somebody that I need a little more explaining on something to fully understand it, which they tend to respect more, because if you're going to
Right.
be an information gatherer to this mass audience, you need to get it correct, because it's
That's
worse
true.
to make a mistake. And I'm not going to say you're never going to make mistakes, because you will,
Mhm.
but the less mistakes you make, the better. also like that attention to detail, a lot of people respect more too. I actually got an email about it over the weekend on something I did. But it's just really great too because like my ultimate goal is to be a features reporter, so that's like the human interest, feel good stuff. And
Hmm.
I think I'm very much a creative writer, so those allow me to, express myself more creatively. So, and you won't necessarily see me on camera, but it's in the way that I write the story and use the sound and the
The feel.
images. Yeah. So,
That's
you
nice.
know, it when I especially get to do those stories, it is
Hmm.
so fulfilling. Like I can't even describe it actually. Well, I guess I can try. So my professor, when I was looking for a job, said to me, Danielle, if you can find a job where they just leave you alone and let you do your thing, and you do a good story, and at the end of the day you come home and you're like, yeah, I'm proud of that story, then like that's all you need. Like it
Right.
doesn't,
Right.
that's kind of like the peace of mind I get, because it can be such a hard job at times. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think that's really the most fulfilling part is like just taking it day by day. And then, not every single day I love the story I get, but, I have to do my job. And the days that I really get to do the stories I love,
Hmm.
that express myself more and that type of thing, it's like, yeah, this is why I can't see myself doing anything else, So that's trying to figure out how I'm going to do that all the time, but
I
working on
mean,
it.
but that's a very good thing to have, knowing that what you're doing right now is where you feel amazing, and doing that every day doesn't feel like work. That's I feel like that is one of the best feelings to have,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Truly
but
enjoying what you're doing.
it is, but honestly, I'm the more I'm in this industry and the older I'm getting like a little bit more realistic too. Like you can
Mhm.
that saying kind of bothers me a little bit because you can love your job, but trust me, sometimes it feels like work.
That's
Because it
yeah,
takes
of
it takes
course.
a lot out of you, okay? When you're like working a 12-hour day, like trust
Yeah,
me, it takes a lot out of you. But if you enjoy what you're doing, it's definitely easier to go
easier.
home and
Yeah,
be like,
definitely.
okay, so um yeah.
So in those kind of situations, what kind of mindset do you go into? That what we like to call that growth mindset, and stuff. And of course, I'm going back to Project Grown Up, which, if you guys don't know, is an amazing podcast that Miss Church
Woohoo!
has with her co-hosts Alex and Amy, and they have really amazing, inspiring stories on there. Some of which I got to see and experience by myself as well. So definitely go check that out. Link will be in the comments.
Mhm.
But yeah, otherwise, going back, that mindset thing. What kind of mindset do you have to go into this? Because just hearing about it, it seems it's like a lot, right?
Yeah.
12-hour shifts,
Yeah.
you're writing your own
Yeah.
stuff, you're
It
filming.
probably sounds worse than it actually is. But you're definitely like go, go, go. And you kind of COVID is actually, believe it or not, made me less stressed in some ways. But a deadline is probably why I have, I think, some anxiety sometimes because I don't know, just
Right.
something about potentially missing slot is like the scariest thing. I haven't done it, but it's just that
It's,
build up on my own.
mhm.
Um, I guess there really is no way other than to take what people taught you in school and really like, just try to apply that to what you're doing. I mean, I don't think if I had gone anywhere else, I would have been as prepared as I did. And that's just because it's my own path. My path is
Mhm.
different from somebody else's, but
So going
people say
through
you
it
have
really
people
helps.
say you have to have tough skin, which at times you do.
Mhm.
Because people are not the nicest online. But that's why you don't read the comments on stories you
That's
do.
true.
Um, but other than that, I mean, don't know. You just kind of take it day by day and you figure it out. I feel like I'm very much a problem solver. My other very good subject in school was math. My boyfriend would disagree with me, but it was definitely math. And and like they make you figure out things, and I feel like that is a skill that I've only, continued to perfect in a way because, I don't have the solutions for everything, but every day it's a constant thing of how am I going to do this? How am I going to figure this out? My time management, just everything. So I don't know. If you love it enough, you'll figure it out.
That's good. That's good.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I mean, but as you said, there are some really stressful days. Sometimes you have deadlines to meet, and just all this stress build up there. So what are some ways that you de-stress or work with the health aspect of it? Because obviously it is a really stressful job. So how
So
do you go about?
so it's hard because I have to know what's going on in the world, but at the same time, I know a lot of people, when you have your 2 days off, just stay disconnected from all of it because you have to enjoy your social life too, and you have to
That's
enjoy
true.
your time off because it's where you reset and you're able to come back and bring fresh new ideas and all sorts of stuff. So
Hmm.
um I think some of the ways that I do it are, I've just always been somebody who likes fitness. Like I said, I wasn't sporty or anything growing up. I was never in sports, but like once I got to high school, I started running on my own, and like I've done a half marathon before, which is interesting. Like you'll meet a lot of runners, um, not just in this industry, but I think like people in their 20s and older, like people really get into running.
Right.
um, but like even just other forms of activity, I've
Hmm.
recently last when I was in North Dakota, actually, I didn't like yoga before I went there. And I did a hot yoga class, and it just like it's very much where I just kind of reset. So I really
Hmm.
enjoy it. This morning I'm actually really tired right now because this morning I got up at 6:30 to go to a cycling class at 7, but it's like you do things that make your body feel good because if your body feels good, then you're going to feel good.
Right.
So, that's you kind of got to do stuff daily. You got to figure out what works best for you. And not everybody likes to work out. Some days I don't like to work out, but
That's true.
it's just figure out what works best for you. I know some people who do meditation, some people just like to hang out with friends. I would be hanging out with friends and trying to meet more people here if there wasn't COVID. Spending time with my boyfriend. I do have some friends here though, I promise. So I do see them
Well,
every
that's
once
good.
in a while. I'll talk to my family. Like, I don't know, you just detach from it when you're
Hmm.
off, and like after work, sometimes I'll look up story ideas and whatnot, or, even sometimes on my days off, I'm looking for story ideas. But I don't know. You just kind of figure it out. I mean, you got to prioritize what matters to you. And
That's true.
listen, my job is important to me and I do want to be very successful in it. And I want to tell the best stories I can tell. I want to be there for people who don't have a voice. However, I'm the only person that's going to take care of me. And so,
Nice.
when you are gone someday, your job isn't going to be the only thing, you know?
Hmm.
When you're
That's true.
older, once you retire, the things that you have wanted to do in life, you need to do. So like take your vacation, go nice places,
Hmm.
live your fullest life outside of work,
That's that's true.
Well, honestly, I have actually at work too, but that's just because I'm very fortunate in the sense that I don't have a job where I sit at a desk all day. But yeah, I don't know. You just have to prioritize what matters to you because even my sister, she's trying to go to school for nursing, and she doesn't listen to me ever because that's just younger sisters and siblings in general. But I've told her
That's
like
true.
she's stressing out because she's like, I'm gonna be in nursing school, like I'm gonna have no time to do anything. You will find time to do things that matter to you. I promise.
That's true.
Nothing will ever take up 24 hours of your day. find an hour to just decompress or do whatever. So that
That's
is
nice.
my advice.
That is good. That is good. So is that something you're going to be changing post COVID? Because obviously many people have been able to get some time to reflect on things that either it's in your work life or your personal life. So is that something you're going to be changing? Trying to have a dedicated time to decompress, or are you going to be what are you going to be changing?
Yeah. Honestly, no. I think when I first moved to Fargo, it was just work, work, work because I didn't really know anybody there. So I
Hmm.
didn't really have anything else to do. And then once I made friends, it was like, oh, okay, this is like actually very manageable. Um, but the harder part is that in my first job, we were, you know, it, I have a much bigger staff now that I actually only work 8 hours a day. It's very nice. Sometimes I work more. Um, but I used to work like 12-hour
Well,
days. And in my first job, you're not making a whole lot.
hmm.
Like it's very tough. Like if I didn't have my parents and their support, I don't think I would have been able to do it because just moving alone was a huge cost and the stipend that my
Right.
station gave me was not much. The second job
Hmm.
is really where you're like, "Oh wow, I can afford things again."
Some breathing space.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but anyway, so like there was a point where I even had to get a second job with one of my coworkers.
Well,
She was a sports reporter. We're still best friends. At a we actually got a UPS. So, and honestly, I did it for 3 months in a row, and it really started getting to me mentally because my job was 5 days a week. Like I said, 12 hours
right.
usually.
That's
So if I'm working 9 to 9, that's a long day.
that's a lot.
So then on top of that, I also worked my UPS job was from 5 to 7:30,
Well,
but I always left early because I was like, hey, listen, like my day job is my priority. So I need to leave at 7 or I can't do this. And they're like, okay. So I worked from 5 to 7, 5 days a week. However,
my God.
in news, you're not Monday through Friday. You're like
You.
my current days off are Sunday, Monday. So I was working, let's see, I was anchoring on Friday and Saturday. So Wednesday and Thursday were my days off. So Friday and Saturday were the only days I didn't work at UPS, but I was working my normal job. So I was working 7 days a week for 3 months.
Dang.
Yeah. So, and you think that like only a couple hours in the morning. Yeah, but you have to get up really early
Mm-hmm.
and working
Getting
that
there, getting
that
ready.
was very much a very labor intensive type job because you had to
Hmm.
move boxes and stuff. So it just after
Well,
3 months, I was like, okay. I was trying to move on to the next market anyway. I was ready to go. And so I quit and was like, all right, I gotta not my news job. I quit my side
sex.
side job, but
Hmm.
I was like, okay, I gotta prioritize. And then that's when I ended up finding the right job. So it like
Wow.
you
That's
like
that's a journey.
being in the job you want sometimes really takes a lot of sacrifices and not just on your
That's
part,
true.
your family's part. And like I
Hmm.
said, again, I'm very fortunate that I had parents who could support me, but that's not always the case. So sometimes I'm sure, other people have it way harder. Other people might have not been able to quit their second job, but I didn't want to ever rely on my family to give me money. So,
That's yeah. I understand that definitely. Um. So I want to let you rest now, not take up too much of your time. So one last final question. Would you like to say anything else to the audience? Whether that's advice, whether that's whatever, all up to you.
um, that's the same question I always say to people. I'm like, is there anything else you want to add? Maybe I didn't ask you about? Oh man, I don't know. I know I don't have to say anything, but
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I don't know. Just always be yourself. Work really hard. Sometimes you do have to make sacrifices. Like I said, I never wanted to leave Chicago, but
Mhm.
um, sometimes in the sacrifices, there's a lot of great things that come out of it too. Because if I had never come to Buffalo, I would have never met the people I did. I would have never have met the guy I'm dating, who I honestly think is the one. So, and that's
Okay.
weird coming from me. So, I don't know, just you'll figure it out, but and don't ever be afraid to ask somebody for help in the industry,
That's good.
because I've reached out to a lot of people just to get advice, or when you're a student, try to learn from as many people in that industry as possible, because
Hmm.
not only are you making connections, but people like to see that you're genuinely interested in that field, and they're probably going to reach out to you more than you think. So
Well,
people like to help each other, so for the most part.
well, again, that was wow. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was great talking to you, and I'm sure, not only myself, but my viewers have learned, wow, like a lot of stuff, about an industry that's not really talked about that much. The one that is talking about stuff doesn't get talked about. I mean, come on, right? Um,
Well, in some ways it does, just not always the best.
yeah. So, thank you so much once again, for giving me this opportunity to be able to have this amazing conversation. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.